But all right, so now another thing that's coming that I don't think anyone, predicted a few years back is that Star Trek 4 with the J.J. Abrams cast is officially moving forward, and this comes after the last film sort of stumbled at the box office. It was a good one. Did you see Star Trek Beyond?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, and that wasn't directed by Abrams. That was directed by Justin Lin, who I thought did a great job, and I was kind of hoping
Yeah.
they'd bring him back. But, after that movie came out and had, a so-so reaction at the box office, and all the actors sort of, I think all their contracts expired after that,
Yeah.
it kind of just looked like that's the end of that continuity. That's the end of that franchise. But a few weeks back, it was announced that Star Trek 4, Paramount is moving forward with Star Trek 4. And let me just ask you, what did you think of that J.J. Abrams led reboot?
Yeah, so I was never a huge Trekkie. I was
Yeah.
always more of a Star Wars guy. So I know it's different for people that are diehard Trekkies. I really enjoyed the movies. I was always like passively interested in Star Trek. My Star Trek's more the Next Generation. I liked Jean-Luc Picard, and I
Mhm.
watched all the Next Generation movies, and I would sometimes watch the show, but I wasn't like really consistent on it. So when those came out, I was like, I had a familiarity, but I really thought, I first of all, I think that first one is tremendous.
Yes.
There's also some really amazing like slapstick comedy in it by Carl Urban and Chris Pine early on in the film. That is just mwah, chef's kiss. I mean, it's like
Yes.
really, really good. And people were down on the second one, Wrath. The what one was that called? Beyond Star. Yep.
Into Darkness.
Into Darkness. Yeah, not
Yes.
Beyond Darkness. Right. That one was really good too. I really enjoyed that one. So I'm a
Yeah.
big fan of these films. I love all the cast in it. I think they nailed every single character.
Mhm.
Sadly, we won't have obviously Anton Yelkin making a return,
Yeah.
which is a real bummer. That's like such a tragedy that happened to him. But yeah,
Yep.
I love those films, and I know you are too. This is like thing we share a bond over. We really like these. So
Yeah. And just like you, like I was never into Star Trek. And less than you, I never even saw anything. Like you have some connection to the Next
right.
Generation and some of the Next Generation movies. I never watched an entire episode of any version of Star Trek. And
Wow.
I think the only movie I have any kind of relation to was Star Trek 4. And all I remember is being a little kid, and I was very, like, I found it very interesting watching Spock swim with whales. But that's like all I remember about anything related to Star Trek. And
That's
then
my
when Abrams,
favorite story ever.
that's all
Spock
I know.
swimming with whales.
Spock swimming with whales. That's what I got, folks. But when the reboot came out, I loved it so much that I saw it twice in theaters. I don't often repeat movies in theaters. And I thought this was so damn good. I brought my mom to the movies to see it with her because I knew she'd like it too. There's something about it, like the way the energy Abrams brought it. It was like it was Star Trek by way of a Star Wars fan. So it kind of spoke to me
Yes.
in that way. It was a little less sci-fi nerdy and a little more kind of like a hero's journey sort of Star Wars tale, really kind of putting Chris Pine in like that Luke Skywalker position
Yeah.
almost. And it's funny. Then a few years later, he ended up getting Star Wars. So who knows what he would have done if he had already would have made Star Wars, who knows how he would have approached Star
Yeah.
Trek. But you could tell at
Isn't it
that
wild?
time,
He did Star Trek and Star Wars. That is wild.
just like Joss Whedon did Avengers and Justice League. You get these
I know,
people
that's
who just have
crazy.
way too much power. They've affected way too many things.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when this whole series kind of like seemingly disappeared into thin air, I was pretty bummed out. But
Yeah.
hearing that it's coming back, I'm super excited. There's a couple of comments on it I just want to touch on
Sure.
that kind of show that we're very early days, though. Because yes, it was announced, and now the word is out that they're working on a Star Trek 4 with those original actors in mind. But for his part, Carl Urban he doesn't seem to know anything about it just yet. He seems to know as much as we do. Because while he's out doing press for The Boys, another Amazon show, today's episode is brought to you by Amazon.
Amazon.
While out promoting The Boys, he was asked about that, about a script, and he said, "I haven't seen a script. I know nothing, but I would love to work with those guys again. So much fun. The best hang. We'll see. So it's interesting the way he puts it. He doesn't sound quite like convinced that it's absolutely happening. I find that interesting. You know, press releases have been fired out. It's like it's a known entity now. Star Trek 4 is a known entity that's on its way. And Carl Urban's like, we'll see. I would love to do it. So it kind of goes to show you,
He's just
like,
playing coy to get a good offer. You know what I mean? He's probably just
see, that's
acting
what I
like,
think
yeah,
too.
I'll do it, I guess,
Yeah.
But then,
Yeah. Yeah.
then
Yeah.
when they offer it to him, he's like, you got to give me a couple more millions here.
Yeah,
He
because
doesn't
I
sound like
remember
that at
that
all.
was,
He's like, give me a
yeah,
couple of more millions. That's my
because that
it's my
was
really bad Carl Urban. You
that's
like
a
it?
terrible Carl Urban.
So bad. I don't
You
know.
know? Do you know I have like a total man crush on him? I love
Who
me some
doesn't?
Carl
Who
Urban. I
doesn't?
think he's the man. He was my fan cast for the Batman before
Yes.
they announced
He was
Ben
a lot of
Affleck.
people's fan cast.
Yeah,
I really
like
like that.
I just think he's awesome. And then he ended up getting Dredd after that, and then he killed it as Dredd. But it
So did
made me go like, see, he would have been a great Batman. He could do great jaw acting. Look at that mouth acting on this guy. You know,
I don't
but
know.
he's one of
Robert
these guys.
Pattinson's mouth acting was really good.
Listen, Pattinson's mouth acting, top of the line. But
Top of the
Carl Urban also had the physique. Like, I wanted him before Affleck was cast. Like, this is before, like, during that phase of Batman. I didn't think about him so much in these last few years. But back when there was rumors of a new Batman after Man of Steel, that's when I was like, ooh, Urban, Urban, Urban. Because he's one of these guys, too, who, like, he's built like a leading man or like even like an action star. He's a big, strong. He was in Pathfinder. Like when he first came to notoriety, he would play the heavy in the movie. He would play the
right.
big, badass or the big tough villain that you have to fight. But then, yeah, he's built like that, but he has the talent and the comic timing of like a character actor. If you look at
Yeah.
his bones, McCoy in this, he's comedic. He's got like I don't know, he's like a chameleon where he could be that
Yeah.
guy who's the badass with the gun running into the room, or he could be neurotic Bones, and you believe it both ways. I
Yeah.
think he's freaking great. But yeah, so as of right now, though, he doesn't seem like 100% all systems go. And I think you're right. Because one of the rumors, I think like 2-3 years ago, the last time this movie came up, was that Pine and possibly Urban himself were kind of holding out. They wanted new deals and they wanted bigger paydays. So I
Yeah.
wonder if that's one of the things like, yeah, I'll do it. You got to
1,000%.
pay me.
A
Yeah,
1,000%.
and the same thing too with Chris Pine, because he was recently asked about it. And he said, I think everybody was like, did you hear about this? We're usually the last people to find out, but I do know we're all excited. Whenever they want to send us a script, we're ready for it. We haven't seen a script. I don't know anything about it. And he also said, I don't trust anybody, but I'm excited. I love the story. I love Star Trek. I love my people. And then I'm going to let you know what your boy Jaja Abrams said about it
Just
during an
obvious.
investor presentation about this
Oh,
upcoming film. He said, "We are thrilled to say that we are hard at work on a new Star Trek film that will be shooting by the end of the year." So look, it's coming up pretty soon. And these guys are saying, "We'll see." But anyway, shooting by the end of the year that will be featuring our original cast and some new characters that I think are going to be really fun and exciting and help Star Trek into areas that you've just never seen before. We're thrilled about this film. We have a bunch of other stories that we're talking about that we think will be really exciting. So can't wait for you to see what we're cooking up. But until then, live long and prosper. So look at that too. That's interesting too. I hadn't read that until just now. That sounds like he's teasing much more than Star Trek 4, right? He's talking about like there's lots of stories and lots of different areas to explore. So that's I don't know. To me, that sounds like maybe they're going to try to lock these people down for another 3 or 4 movies at this point.
that'd be
Which,
great.
yeah, I'd be
Like
down
I
for
said,
that.
I very much love these films.
Yeah. And speaking of returns that we would be totally down for.